Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Eldred, and I'm with the Center for Best Practices here at Share Our Strengths. Thank you for joining us today for the Improving Meal Quality in the Summer, One Change at a Time webinar. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items that I'd like to go over. First, attendees are in listen-only mode, and we will be recording this webinar today. We will take questions at the end of the webinar. Please use the question box for your questions, and we will read them out loud or respond to them individually. And the webinar recording and resource links will be sent later this week. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my colleague, Derek Lambert, to start the webinar.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. We're excited to have everyone here today. We have a great set of panelists and a lot of folks on the line, so we're very excited to have you here for the fourth installment of our Schools Out, Foods In Summer Meals webinar series, Improving Meal Quality in the Summer, One Change at a Time. We'd like to give a special thanks to our funder, our funding partner, the Arby's Foundation, which makes our summer meals work possible. We're very grateful for their support and for all of you who help make summer meals a reality in the summertime. Let's have a quick look at our agenda. We're going to look at a planning timeline for summer. As it's getting closer, I want to make sure we're all on the right steps toward making this the best summer ever. We're going to talk about meal quality and stories from the field. We have 5 partners that are going to share their stories. We have time set aside for questions and answers today, so that those of you who are out there, please feel free, as we are hearing from our panelists, to chat in your questions so that we can address those and make sure that we have time to provide some good information. And then we'll wrap up and talk about next month's webinar. We'll give a preview of where we're headed next month. So I want to talk about summer meals planning timeline, just where we're at. As we know, in the month of April, states have different deadlines for sponsor applications that need to be submitted for approval. Those begin in the month of April and continue into May. The federal deadline is in June 15th. But please be paying attention and engaging your state agency to make sure that if you're a sponsor, you are submitting your application in a timely manner. As a reminder, you can add sites after your sponsor application is submitted, but the application for sponsorship does need to be submitted ahead of the summer season. In May is a time to finalize your site locations and to begin program outreach. And then in June, as programming is underway, continuing promotion and considering a transition to after-school meals. I'd like to note, speaking of these topics, we have 2 remaining webinars in this webinar series. In May, we'll cover marketing and outreach. In June, we'll look at year-round meals and how you can connect summer to after-school programming to keep kids healthy and well-fed year-round. Again, just want to encourage everyone to also have a look at our website. We have an update. We have brand new summer meals outreach tools in both English and Spanish. I want to thank our design team for their great work putting together these materials. We have flyers, postcards, posters, yard signs, business cards, banners, bookmarks, and frequent flyer cards that you can take and use. These are ready to plug and to play for you to use in your outreach. They're free for download, they're customizable, and they also all include information about the Summer Meals texting hotline, 877-877. By texting food or comida, it is a prompt in English or Spanish to make sure that folks have access and information about summer meals. So we have a lot of that stuff that we're excited about. Again, just generally want to encourage folks to reach out to our Center for Best Practices website for additional resources that are available there. So we looked through the planning timeline and the updates. Let's talk about meal quality and stories from the field. And before we turn it over to our panelists, just want to talk about, what is meal quality? Meal quality can be defined in various ways for different people. It can refer to the variety or the freshness of ingredients, the nutritional value of the meal, as well as presentation or even color and texture. We've invited speakers here today who can speak to the value of the meal pattern that's followed by sponsors during the summer, the different approaches that they have taken to making their meals tasty and appealing, and they're also going to provide resources to support you, the sponsor, the site, or the community advocate, as you begin planning and supporting planning for the summer. Meal quality is really important because it has a direct impact on the user experience at programs and at sites. Children and families, we know that they take note of meals that are prepared and served with care, and this can have a direct impact on their perception of the desirability of the service being offered. Meals that are perceived as being high quality also come with other benefits. They're less likely to be associated with the stigma that can sometimes accompany these programs, and additionally, meals that are tasty and appealing are likely to boost customer satisfaction and promote regular attendance at sites during the summer months. And, when we've reached out for folks to talk about this, we really have folks from all around the country. We have speakers from Seattle, from Denver, Dallas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Bristol, Vermont. We have 2 school districts represented, a community nonprofit. We have 2 nutrition experts that are going to be speaking with us. And these folks are here to share their stories and what they've done and the resources that they're providing to you to help you carry out this work as well. And again, before we get started, I just really want to encourage folks to, as questions come to mind as you're hearing these stories, do not hesitate to write them into the chat box, and during the Q&A session, we'll make sure that our speakers are able to answer some of those questions. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panelist, Michael Rosenberger, who is the Executive Director of the Food and Child Nutrition Services for Dallas Independent School District. Prior to coming to Dallas, Mr. Rosenberger was the Director of Food and Nutrition Services for the Irving Independent School District. During his 16 years of service with the Irving ISD, the Food and Nutrition Service was recognized both in Texas and across the country as a leading school food service organization. Mr. Rosenberger was named the 2004 recipient of the Fame Rising Star Award and has been nominated several times for the IFMA Silver Plate Award. Michael, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing about the program out in Dallas.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and frankly, it's a pleasure to talk about one of my favorite meal programs that we offer, and that is the Summer Meals Program. We in Dallas have been fortunate to acquire quite a bit of experience in serving summer meals. We've been helping our community in this manner for more than 22 years. And in that time, we've built up a strong network both within the school district and outside the school district with locations such as city libraries, parks, apartment complexes, boys and girls clubs, the YMCA, just the whole umbrella of organizations to outreach to our community and to children in our community throughout the long summer. So last summer we served approximately 430,000 summer meals, and we're proud of that. But of course, this year we want to keep going onward and upward and exceed that. And we have chosen to operate the Seamless Summer option just because it is as the name implies, a seamless transition from the end of the school year to the start of summer meals. So it's an easy transition for both staff and for students, kind of a win-win situation for all. And one of the factors that dictates what type of meal service we provide is the enrollment or the participation at different sites. And so we have 3 different meal types that we offer to 3 different customer groups. We were very pleased to be honored for, as the next slide shows, for excellence in summer meals. There's a coalition of the Dallas office of the Texas Hunger Initiative, FRAC, and the United Way of Metropolitan Dallas that evaluate summer meals programs, and we came up with a silver level award. And my team and our community is we're working together to reach the gold next year. But it is based on 3 main criteria: programming and operations, food quality, marketing, and outreach. So we had a very nice award and certificate recently that we were recognized with. But how do we achieve excellence with every meal that we serve? Well, that's our goal. It's the high quality meals that look good, taste good, and are good for the body and good for the brain. So what are some of the key elements in our long running program? There's a huge training part that goes into running a successful summer program, and that is all staff associated with breakfast lunch, and any other meal options that we may offer. It's a very thorough training program. In addition, it's auditing the sites, number one, to assure compliance with all regulations, but really it's a look at our customer service and food quality from a site level view, and just making sure that we're adhering to our promise of excellence with every meal served. There's a huge, obviously when you're serving so many hundreds of thousands of meals in the summer, there's a huge support mechanism, and a huge part of that are supplies for food safety. So this is a huge stressing point for us. The food not only has to look good, be good, and taste good, but we have to, our customers have to make sure that they have assurance that what they're eating is the best possible. And so we have a robust food safety program, multi-level, in place. Our goal is to deliver summer meals to the locations from which we serve within 1 hour of service. And that's a service promise to ensure that only the freshest, highest quality foods are being served at all times to every single customer. And we do have a central kitchen here in Dallas ISD, and so some of our summer meal prep occurs here, and we have the very latest in computer-controlled temperature and food safety systems in place. So as the next slide kind of addresses, what is the definition of healthy summer meals? Well, we have several answers to that. Number one, we are proud to serve a bunch of Texas agricultural products. Texas really has a wide variety of produce, and we are thrilled to highlight all the wonderful things that our state grows and produces. We also have a menu with a significant amount of variety to appeal to different customer groups and, quite frankly, different cultural groups. We in Dallas ISD are probably one of the most multicultural school districts or school authorities in the country, and that's a blessing and it's a strength. And so our meals reflect the foods that students want to eat, based not only on their cultural background, but also on what they experience here on a daily basis. And really, the last couple of years, we've had a change in philosophy with our summer meals. I would say probably to a greater or lesser extent in schools. You know, summer meals sometimes might be, okay, let's clean out whatever we have left of and just kind of move things out. And our philosophy is continually changing toward, man, that summer menu is the time to highlight all of our all-star, top popular menu items, as well as the summer meals also serve a very important purpose for us in terms of a testing ground for new recipes and new products that we want to introduce at some point in the coming school year. So summer for us is really a time to highlight some of the best things that we do, and then introduce some of the most exciting new menu items and concepts for the coming year. And finally, while this may be slightly off topic, it is congruent with the approach of summer meals. As the next slide shows, we have moved. We started 2 years ago and have picked up steam in offering meals not only during the summer break, but at other times while students are out. So for example, we served meals over spring break. We served meals over the Christmas or winter holiday, and also over the Thanksgiving break. You know, pretty much anytime students are out from school. As we all know, The instructional time may end, but hunger doesn't take a vacation. And so we're really trying to pilot being there at all times for the children in our community. So it's been a pleasure to have this opportunity to share what we're doing here in Dallas ISD, and look forward to answering any questions that may come up at the towards the end of this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks so much for highlighting the great work you're doing, and especially giving a shout out for the commitment to serving students at all times as school is out, not just during the summer break. So we heard from Michael in Dallas, obviously in a large urban district, and the great work he's doing there. And at this time, we're going to transition to a more rural district. Kathy Alexander is the food service director at Mount Abraham Union High School and Bristol and Moncton Elementary, and she understands the importance of meal programs as part of the overall school curriculum. Kathy not only works to incorporate whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, and local foods, but she uses the meal program as an opportunity to teach kids about healthy eating. And as someone who's worked directly with Kathy in the past, I can speak directly to the high quality of her meals and her commitment to serving kids all year round, including during the summer. Kathy, thanks so much for joining us, and we are excited to hear about your program. Kathy, we can't hear you. I'm not, maybe muted. Okay. All right, we're going to check in with Kathy here in just a moment. Want to just also note that a few details about her program, Bristol, Vermont, just so everyone knows.
There we go. Hi, everybody.
There we are. Okay.
Sorry.
I was going to speak for you. I'm going to give it back over to you, Kathy. That's okay.
I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. You didn't hear me say this, but welcome to the webinar, and I'm really happy to be here as well. I'm going to echo a lot of the things that Michael said, but from the rural perspective, which will be a little bit different. Like Michael, I'm thrilled to be talking about summer because it is also my favorite program, one of my favorite programs that we offer. Meals to kids, but also because it's going to be summer soon, and we are in Vermont, and I'm very happy that soon we're going to get done with our cold weather and have warm days to be outdoors with kids and serving meals with them. So our program, as Derek said, is in rural Vermont. We have 11, in our summer program, we're serving 11 sites out of a central kitchen. Our entire district is 6 rural towns, and it in the school year, it's about 6 schools, and it makes up 1,500 students. In the summer, as I said, we're doing 11 sites out of a central kitchen. Those kitchens are, the central kitchen is staffed by 4, sometimes 5 part-time staff who work in shifts. And we work in the summer primarily with 3 farms. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about how we go about getting local food. In the school year, we work with 13 local farms and get lots of food. But unlike Texas, I think, our growing season is pretty short. So when we start our summer meals program, we have a few things that are available, and then we'll get a burst of vegetables mostly, and then more right at the end. So, but I will talk to you about that because it's an important part of what we define as quality. So we do work with these 3 local farms, and we're serving out of our central kitchen about 400 meals a day, which last summer equaled around 15,000 meals, and we operate for about 7 or 8 weeks, depending on the year. So you can go to the next slide. I chose to show you all some pictures so we can visualize summer meals a little bit. We really see, in general, our philosophy about meals in schools for kids is that our meals program is really about education and having the opportunity to feed kids so they can grow and learn, just like I'm sure all of you feel the same way about the work that you're doing. And in the summer, we continue to have that opportunity to do that. And I love what Michael talked about with regard to using the summer as a time to test recipes and also to just continue the good work that we do all year long with healthy, nutritious meals. I think sometimes we think summer meals because they're transported and kids eat them in a different setting need to be different than school meals. And I feel like we can do it as good a job in the summer, even though we have some limitations around transportation and time and all of those things. We can still make sure the quality's there. So the opportunities in summer meals are to make sure they're nutritious, appealing, colorful, of course tasty. Safety is really important where we are dealing with lots of temperature change in the summer, and safety is a big issue for us as well. We want there to be variety. We try in our program to not have sandwiches every day, since we want to make sure that we get enough variety in there. So there's wraps, there's sandwiches, there's salads, all kinds of different things. And finally, we really do pay attention to local, having some local food on the plate. So what you're seeing in these pictures are just a couple of examples of, at the beginning of the summer program, we are really fortunate to have local blueberries. And one of the ways that we've gotten them into our program in large quantities is to have some of the camps or the programs that we're serving through our summer meals program agree to go to the farm and pick the blueberries as an activity for kids. So we're kind of combining some education, food education, with our meals program. So we'll have 2 or 3 of our programs volunteer to take kids as a field trip to go pick the blueberries. They bring us back tons of blueberries. We serve them fresh, and we also freeze them. And one of our meals for a couple of times is blueberry yogurt parfait, so we get to use that. So that's just a simple example. You'll also see in this picture some pea pods. I think that sometimes we think local has to be a lot of food, and a couple of summers in a row, farmers have grown pea pods, and we've gotten not a ton, but enough to put 4 or 5 pea pods on a tray, on each one of our 400 trays, and that's good. Like, kids are getting peas, fresh local peas. It's probably not a half a cup right there, but they have other vegetables and other fruits on their tray and a few pea pods. So we find that we can make almost every meal have something like that in it. We tend to look at the things that we're looking at in the summer in terms of local food is, thanks for changing the slide, is strawberries, any kind of berry. So we have a lot of strawberries. We have a lot of blueberries. Cherry tomatoes, we get a lot of cherry tomatoes, lettuce, and also beans, pea pods, and spinach. So those are kind of the main crops that we're using a lot of during the summertime. So what else did I want to tell you? I think we can move to the next slide, actually. Oh, the other slide. We also have local cream cheese here in Vermont, so that was a good thing. We can go back. You can keep going. So all the meals that we serve are transported in coolers, and this does present a challenge, as Michael talked about too, for food safety. But it's something that, with good training, as Michael mentioned, and good practice, food safety practices, is easily overcome. We use, because all of our food is transported, we do use these trays, and then the food is packaged like this, and then they'll get sealed, and they get sent out in coolers, as I said, to about 11 sites. Our meals are kid-friendly. Here you see a meal that's chicken tenders and a homemade muffin and some fruits and vegetables. And again, we have sandwiches as well. So we have a cycle menu. It's a 4-week cycle menu. So within that 7 to 8 weeks, our kids who are participating in the program will get a meal twice, which seems like a very reasonable amount of times. So they're not getting bored, and there's something they like, it comes up again. So they're kid-friendly. We try to be a little bit creative with our meals, that kind of thing. Here's a picture of some of our staff doing some processing of local strawberries. So again, an opportunity to get some local food in and then keep it for as long as we can for the whole summer. Okay, I think I have one more slide. Yeah, this is that's our whole program. I wanted to tell you a little bit about where we send our food. So we do send our food out to rec programs, libraries. I think Michael also mentioned libraries has been a really great site for us. We have 3 libraries this coming summer that have good programs for kids, and we're headed down there. We also do just park programs that are kind of camps in the park. We have school enrichment and enhancement programs that are happening in the school. And we've recently started bringing meals to local mobile home parks. And in the past 3 years, we've been developing that as a site for our programs, and we're combining that with some food education. We've partnered with a program called Vermont Feed. They're very good at food education around local food and farming, and so we have interns that work with them and work with us and do some food education when we deliver the food, and creating some activities at the mobile home parks. And that's really been a big benefit, because kids are there and they're not necessarily getting out, so we are going to them with our food. So that's about all I have to share with you. I think it's important to just really reiterate again what Michael said, is this is really an extension of the good work that we do all year long and the food education that we can provide. And summer food doesn't have to be any different, and in fact it can be just as creative, just as fun, just as fresh, even though it's quicker and it's going out to a lot of places. So thanks for the opportunity to share, and I look forward to hearing the other panelists.
Thanks so much, Kathy, and I'm sure you may have some questions as well about all those tasty meals you put together to serve the kids during the summer months. So thank you so much from both of our panelists that speaking on behalf of school districts, urban and rural. We're actually now going to transition and look at a community provider who is engaged in providing high-quality meals in the summertime. Michael Simonelli is the Program Director for Hunger Initiatives of the YMCA of Greater Seattle. Prior to taking on this role, Michael was part of an organization called Breakthrough on the west side of Chicago. Throughout his career path, Michael has focused on serving homeless populations and those trapped in a cycle of poverty, which is why he has such a passion for meal programs. He's seen how the simple act of serving a meal to one individual can create a ripple effect in improving an entire community. Michael, we're really excited to have you on and to hear about the work of the YMCA up in Seattle.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Derek. Yeah, it's great to be on this amazing panel with some people that are doing some really, really great work. Just want to say hello to everyone. So yeah, I'm Michael Simonelli, Program Director of Hunger Initiatives for YMCA of Greater Seattle. Summer food is definitely something that is near and dear to my heart. This is something that, looking at King County, which is actually one of the wealthiest and most affluent counties in the nation, there's definitely a lot of communities around here that are underserved, and summer food gives us that chance and that opportunity to go directly to the community with fresh, delicious meals and able to serve them right where they are. So we do that in a few different ways to improve the meal quality. The first is with our HEPA standards. This is our Healthy Eating and Physical Activity Standards. So I'll go ahead and go further into this in the next slides, but we also work with our vendor. We have a terrific vendor called Fair Start, and I'll discuss what our initial meeting and negotiations looked like with them. We also have our licensing and public health. This is still something that we are working on, but I'll share where we stand with these regulations at our sites, and also about our farmers market and farm to table. We found ways to provide local farm fresh produce to our sites. So I'll go ahead and start off with our HEPA standards. So as you see, these are our HEPA standards that we have here. Their main focus is on beverage, food, family engagement, infant feeding, physical activity, and screen time. For this webinar, I'll go into the main two, which is our beverage and food. So these standards were created in response to a call by Michelle Obama and the Partnership for a Healthier America. They took years of research and key partnerships to create. We feel that these standards will build a healthier future for our nation's children by creating environments rich in opportunities for healthy eating and physical activity. So with beverage, this one's pretty straightforward. Our HEPA standards say that only water or unflavored, low-fat or non-fat milk should be served during meal times. This means not using juice or any of those other sugary beverages, so mainly just focusing on serving water and milk for that. For our food, we found that the ideal way for serving meals to children is family style. So this means all food and beverages are in common bowls and pitchers with limited help by the staff. It's a really great scene to see staff sitting with the children during the meal and helping them serve a correct portion out of the common pitchers and bowls. It's it teaches the children a lot about serving correct portion sizes. They learn social skills with table manners, communicating with each other at the table, and surprisingly, our preschool programs have a much easier time implementing this than our school-age programs. So we're still working with some of those site supervisors to really implement this. We've seen some really great growth in our children from serving meals in this family style. The other one is fruits and vegetables. So with our fruits and vegetables, everything that we serve should be either fresh, frozen, dried, or canned in their own juice. And then we also do not serve any fried foods. So this means potato chips or corn chips. We also look not to serve any French fries or tater tots or anything like that. And then also we make sure to stay away from any trans fats that are listed. These will be known as partially hydrogenated oils in the ingredients list, so they can kind of sneak in there. So for example, like Cheez-Its, I know have that in there, so that's something that is difficult because that's what children love, but we know that it's something that we need to steer away from. We also look for whole grain items. These are determined by confirming that the first item listed in the ingredients contains the word whole. So for example, whole oats or whole brown rice, whole grain flour. We also look to stay away from sugar, anything ending in ose like fructose, and syrups like honey. So another one of these food standards includes the staff consuming the same food and beverages as children during the meals and snacks. We avoid consumption of foods or beverages that are inconsistent with the HEPA standards during program time. So we ask our staff not to bring in a Coca-Cola during program time. So in the next slide here, we show that we are working with our vendor. So when we initially met with our vendor, one of the biggest things that we did to ensure that we were going to get the high quality in our meals that we were looking for is we brought in our HEPA standards into our initial meeting. By doing this and bringing in where we stand on our beverage and food, it really helped us to solidify what items are non-negotiable. And gave us a clear goal in this meeting of what kind of meals we're looking for. So luckily enough, they were able to work with us on this, and every meal, we stated had to follow our HEPA standards. So by setting these standards and solidifying these non-negotiable items, our vendor was able to see what adjustments or wiggle room they had in creating and delivering the product. By seeing where we couldn't move, they were able to figure out some of that room where they could. And this also makes the process more formal by bringing in a YMCA policy, something that we have to stand by. We brought this in, and it was able to keep the conversation on track and make it a fruitful conversation with our vendor, and really just give us the results and the meal quality that we were looking for, and staying with that. So then next we look at licensing. So this is something that we're actually still a work in progress for us. So we're still coming up with strategies to support our sites in this. Obviously it's this perfect storm where we're trying to meet HEPA standards from the YMCA, and then also licensing and childcare regulations at our sites that don't have kitchens. So working with licensing and public health can be difficult sometimes, but understanding that what that looks like. And our big focus now is finding prepackaged foods or unitized items that'll make it easier on everybody administratively, so the program isn't having to shop around for that. frees up some of their time for planning, and at the same time just make sure that we're staying with the standards for licensing, public health, and HEPA for that. So the last item here is our farmers market and farm to table. So this is another one that I love. This is something that I practice personally, so to be able to bring that into our programs was great. So this program at the Y is something that is very near and dear to my heart. We began this portion of our meal program by going to farmers markets and actually buying in bulk to lower our costs. Obviously, this is something that can get very expensive very fast. But we were set on making this part of our meals, understanding that this fresh farm produce is going to be great for the kids. So another alternative actually to this is you can look for donations at farmers markets. By staying closer towards the end of the market, a lot of these farmers have produce that is usually very ripe or needs to be consumed immediately. So by doing that, they would be willing to donate some of this meal, which then of course you either need to get to families or parents of these communities immediately, or even offer a community meal with that produce just because of its shelf life. So with these interactions and these transactions that we had at the farmers market, we were able to set up our farm to table program. So working with a great food hub here in Seattle that has connected us with local farmers, they made the whole ordering process very seamless, and it's really a great program to where we can teach our children what it means to eat within season, to show them different recipes, different vegetables, and they really have this amazing opportunity to just see exactly where this produce is coming from, and really just build a great relationship with these local farmers, just people of the community. And that is all for that. So thank you guys so much. Again, thank you, Derek, for having me here, and thank you for everyone for attending.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. And you've done so much good work, again, working with the vendors and implementing those standards that I know have come down through the YMCA organization, and then developing relationships with farmers. I'm sure there will probably be some additional questions about that. At this time, so I first want to thank those from our program sponsors for speaking about their work with meal quality. At this time, we're going to transition, and we're going to look at resources that are available for those of you on the line to really institute some of these great best practices around meal quality, or to enhance some of the work that you're already doing. So to start off that process, we're going to first begin with Jill Turley. Jill Turley is a National Nutrition Advisor with the Alliance for the Healthier Generation, and she supports both the Healthy Schools program as well as the Healthy Out of School Time initiative. Jill's passion for kids' health brought her to the Alliance and has kept her there for 5 years. In her current role, Jill is able to couple her love for food and nutrition with that passion for youth, which is a win-win. She's a firm believer that we need to teach youth about food and nutrition and grow a generation that understands the relationship between food and health. Jill, we're so excited to have you on today and to share some of the tools that are available from the Alliance.
Thank you, Derek. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time this afternoon to be able to speak on the webinar. And I am excited to be joining you guys from Fayetteville, Arkansas today. Next slide, please. So today I'm going to be talking about the Alliance for a Healthier Generation Smart Food Planner, which is really our one-stop shop for food and beverage resources. Next slide. So this is our newest food and beverage tool, and it debuted last summer. It's really a new and improved version of our popular Product Navigator, so some folks may have been familiar with that tool. This is a new and improved version of that. It has enhanced product search functionality, as well as information and sample menus and recipes. This is kind of a hub that we utilize where you can get more information on our on-demand trainings or our live trainings, hot topics, breaking news and child nutrition, those types of things throughout this tool. And then we also directly link to the Smart Snacks calculator. So there's no login required to access the basic functions of our Smart Food Planner, but if you do wish to utilize some of the enhanced functionality that I'll talk about towards the end, like creating and saving personalized lists, then you will need to create a login, which is free. Next slide. Thank you. So we do have enhanced product search functionality within this new tool. It's a lot more user-friendly than our product database used to be, and there's a lot more ways that you can filter based on category, based on meal, whatever it is that you happen to be looking for. There's also the ability to download a list of all the products in the database real time. You can also download your individual search. So if you go on, and we've got cereal on this particular slide, if you go on and you do a search for whole grain cereal, you can export that list and use that to take to your vendors or use that to see what's available in your community. So it's a great resource that you can utilize to show leadership, to show vendors, whomever it is you're talking about with products on your menu. And we have our recipe section. So we have a little over 50 recipes right now that can be searched by various filters as well. So again, you can search by meal, you can search by lunch, you can search by summer, and we really want to feature our recipes from schools and from our out-of-school time programs. So we've really tried to work to get real recipes in there that folks are using out in the field. If anyone has anything that they would like to share, I'll give my email address at the end of this, and we would love to hear from you as well. But our recipe database is very easy to search, and you can find a lot of great things there if you're just looking for inspiration for your menu. And then we have our menus. So we have interactive menus for breakfast, lunch, snack, summer, and supper. So those menus, they link back to general product searches, or they will link back to specific recipes in the database. Again, you can utilize these menu templates just to get some inspiration, some innovation in your menus. And same with recipes, we want to feature real menus from what's being used in the field, so please feel free to shoot those our way. We would love to feature your menus as well in our Smart Food Planner. And then we have kind of what we call our enhanced functionality within the Smart Food Planner. So you can use the same login from the Alliance for a Healthier Generation site, which is free. So if you have a login on the Alliance site, you can utilize it on the Smart Food Planner as well, or you can just create one that works for both. But you can log in, view your account. You can save your product searches, you can save your recipes, you can save your menus. You can create all kinds of customizable lists. For me personally, I've kind of created some special product and recipe lists, added some of my favorite recipes to my dashboard. So you can save various searches that you are utilizing to talk with vendors or utilizing to talk with your community to build support for what you're doing. Lots of different ways that you can really customize your account. You don't have to research for the same things over and over. You don't have to re-find your favorite recipes. You can go right to them in your dashboard. So you can visit the Smart Food Planner at foodplanner.healthiergeneration.org. Next slide. And again, we would love to get your menus, your recipes, or even just your questions. You can email the general mailbox at foodtools@healthiergeneration.org. Next slide. Or please feel free to email me, jill.turley@healthiergeneration.org, or tweet me with questions, comments, or anything that you'd like to share or suggest being shown on our Smart Food Planner. And again, I really appreciate your time today, and I will turn it over to our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Jill, for sharing all the great tools that the Alliance has, and really want to encourage people to take advantage of the Smart Food Planner as a way to have an account that tracks some of the different recipes folks are interested in and wanting to try out. So thanks again for taking time and sharing that resource. And at this time, we're actually going to transition to someone from within Share Our Strength, our very own Megan Bradley, who is a senior program manager at Share Our Strength Colorado. Megan oversees the implementation of the Cooking Matters programming across the state, and I know she's going to share a little bit more with us about what Cooking Matters is, how it contributes to food skills in families and communities, and the connection to summer meals. Before joining Share Our Strength, Megan cooked in restaurants and was part of the culinary industry. She holds a degree in culinary nutrition from Johnson & Wales University and is a registered dietitian. And Megan, I am really excited for folks to learn about the Cooking Matters program and about what is the connection to summer meals. So take it away, Megan.
Great, thank you so much. I feel so honored to get to follow everybody. I've heard so many great things and been writing down lots of notes about opportunities. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So I wanted to at least lay down the foundation for what Cooking Matters is. Cooking Matters is a program through Share Our Strength that teaches families at risk of hunger some basic nutrition and food skills. We know that families want to eat healthy, and we know that because we did a study around it. And so we found that 85% of low-income parents say healthy eating is important to them and their family. So the way that Cooking Matters works is we work with community partners in the area in terms of folks who are serving low-income families. We put on a 6-week course or a one-time grocery store tour, and then we have some additional free resources that I'm going to talk about. And during all of those, we really talk about how to empower families with basic nutrition skills, how to make sure that our families have access to healthy recipes and feel confident in the kitchen and with food budgeting. And all of that goes together because we know that if we can help people feel empowered with the resources that they have, that they can stretch their food dollars, and that can really help with food insecurity. Next slide. So we do a couple of things I mentioned. We have hands-on cooking courses. We also do interactive Cooking Matters at the Store tours, which is where we take families to the grocery store tour and walk them through the grocery store tour. We also have a program that works specifically with child care professionals. So this could be providers who are in a center like a Head Start or in their home, providing that as well. And then we have lots of free educational tools. I'm going to focus most on the educational tools because those are free, and I see a lot of opportunities for you all to be able to leverage those at your summer meal sites. Next slide. So the reason that I think Cooking Matters for summer meals is because we really are all working to do the same thing. We're working to make sure that the families and the kids in our community have access to healthy food and are excited about healthy, nutritious food. Cooking Matters follows the dietary guidelines, and as all of you know, because you're the experts, the Summer Meals food program also follows the dietary guidelines. So all the messaging that's in our programming and free resources will be the same nutrition messaging that you are all working to uphold, not only through the meals, but through any additional kind of programming that you're offering. All of our recipes are based off of dietary guidelines as well, and they do follow cost guidelines, so they should be accessible for families who are on SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So all of our recipes are not only healthy, but also low cost. So I went ahead and linked some resources here just in case you wanted to know more about the dietary guidelines, or if you wanted to have resources in terms of handouts or nutritional education tools. So you can click on these after the webinar and hopefully find some free resources. But I'll highlight a few that just from the speakers that I think could be opportunities for the folks that you are serving. So you'll notice here that there's 2 handouts, one that says Sugar Shocker and one that says Make Your Plate a Rainbow. So these really are great, colorful handouts made for school-age children. They have some nutrition-related activities, a recipe, and then some tips around that topic. So for Sugar Shocker, it's about how do we help kids make healthier choices with their beverages. And there's a recipe on the back for a low-sugar recipe. And then Make Your Plate a Rainbow is about kind of encouraging fruit and vegetable consumption and making, exactly like it sounds, making your plate colorful. So there's actually 4 of these total. They're all free, and you can download them and print them right from our website. And then we actually have 4 toolkits. Again, they're all free. The toolkit that I've highlighted here is Cooking Matters for Chefs and Kids. Similar to the partner in Seattle, this came from the Let's Move initiative where we were really trying to get chefs into the classroom. And so all of the activities, recipes, and handouts in this toolkit are around how to engage school-age children in nutrition and food education. So that could be anything from a handout that there's a word search or a crossword puzzle around food and around nutrition to just kind of get, even if you just handed those out, it's an opportunity to kind of reinforce some of the things that they're having in the meals. There's also lots of recipes and then lots of activities. So one activity that is in a separate toolkit called Exploring Foods Together is an activity called Food Origins. So I noticed that a lot of the folks who are on the ground spoke about local produce, partnering with farmers, and the Food Origins game is a great way to reinforce that. It's a quick physical activity game where you have pictures of an animal, a plant, and then a factory or a place that produces food. And then you have a lot of packages of food or produce, and you start some music and you have all the items in the middle, and the kids pick up those items like eggs, canned tomatoes, a carton of milk, and they have to run and put it to the picture that it matches. So milk comes from an animal, so we would run and put that next to the animal. Tomatoes come from a plant, so we would run and put that by the plant. So that's just one example of something that I already heard that I see an opportunity just for a quick 5-minute activity. It gets people moving and it reminds them where their food is coming from. So again, I'd encourage you to look at those free resources, and I will share my information at the end of this so that you can do that as well if you have questions. The second way is that I'd love for you to look and see if there's a local partner in your area. The way that Cooking Matters works is that we really are in lots of communities, and the reason that we do that is because we know that folks in the community know their community best, and they know that they can reach families in the best way possible. So if you click on local partners that I highlighted here and hyperlinked, there is a searchable database. You can search by state to find if you have partners in your area. There's contact information for all of those partners, so you can feel free to reach out to them and ask them where they're offering programming and if they'd like to partner with you. If you're interested in offering your own programming, there is a grant opportunity going on right now, and I did link to the request for proposal as well as the webinar information. Obviously, the Cooking Matters grant opportunity would be a bigger lift, so that may not be where you want to start first. Searching for partners in your area and looking at some of the free resources would be a great first step, but if you know that Cooking Matters is something that you want to offer, I would encourage you to look at these additional opportunities as well. Next slide. So I know that was quick. I wanted to make sure that we left enough time for questions. This is my email address. Please feel free to reach out. As Derek said, I am a chef and a dietitian, and so food and nutrition are very close to my heart, and I would love to have every kid be able to have access to healthy food and know about where their food comes from and feel empowered to make healthy choices, and I feel like these resources can be a great place to start. So please feel free to click through them and find kind of something that would work for you. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Megan. We really appreciate you sharing all of those resources. And actually, at this time, we're going to open it up to our listeners. We actually have already received a couple of questions. I want to just make a note for folks. You're still able to write questions into the chat box, and our panelists are available to field questions. And Stephanie, I know you said there already are a few that have come in.
Absolutely, yes. We received a question from Brian. He liked the Dallas slides, asking if that is a real tray with a round plate with the center for milk. Michael, can you answer that for us?
Feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself, Michael.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, it is a real tray. We are members of the Urban School Food Alliance, and in partnership with other members, we got together and agreed on that tray design, and so now all of us use that tray.
Could you provide any insight if somebody else wanted to get that kind of tray, where they might start their search, Michael?
They could certainly contact me, and I can work with the Alliance and see what we could do. I'd be happy to do that.
Thanks, Michael. I know we have your contact information in that slide deck that we'll be sharing as well. I think we have another one there, yes. Stephanie?
We sure do. Question from Linnea, what types of fresh or non-processed meals do you serve?
Great. So how about Kathy and Michael Simonelli? Would one of you folks want to field that question? Just some examples of fresh, non-processed meals, maybe a sample meal that you would serve?
Yeah, I can share on what we do here. So we have, like I said, we have an incredible vendor by the name of Fair Start, which is actually a nonprofit organization within itself. So they hire people who are in need of skills for the job field. Anyways, so they, like I said, they worked with us on our HEPA standards, and they worked with us. We have culturally here, pork is something that is not community friendly, I guess you could say, and also we look to strive to be gluten-free in our meals as well. So they have come up with a great way of creating all of our meals for us that we serve at our at-risk sites, and they'll be sponsoring our summer sites as well. So everything they make right there is fresh. They work with local farmers to ensure that they're getting fresh produce and meats and those types of things. And then again, they follow our standards with all of that. So really, I can't say as much as what we do, as much as what they do. They've really done an amazing job on creating some fresh food for us. For our sites that do the cooking there, at their sites, our site supervisors that do that. Again, some of them are using the farm to table, which has been great. But really, it can get tricky. It can get real tricky with trying to come up with fresh fruits and vegetables that kids will actually enjoy. So a lot of times I'm just looking up some local some recipes for some of the local produce coming in from some of our farm to table, those types of things. So yeah, just kind of different sources for that.
Great.
So
Kathy, did you go ahead, Kathy.
Sure. Yeah, I can add to that. I think we strive to have our menus and meals be as unprocessed as possible, but it's hard to avoid that completely, especially, as I mentioned, when we're producing meals quickly. They're pretty much out the door by 10:30, and they're being served around 11:30. So what we have tried to achieve, and I think we do a pretty good job, is maybe we would use a whole muscle chicken tender as our processed product in the tray, with a fresh spinach salad with fresh strawberries and fresh carrots and more fruit that's also fresh. So I feel like it's really a balancing act to make sure that you have a really good balance, that all your food isn't processed and that there's plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. But to be honest, if we have a chicken tender, a cold chicken tender that gets the child to the plate, we're happy about that. And then the spinach salad with the strawberries gets gobbled up. And that's actually one of our most popular items. We also have a taco salad that kids really, really love, and it has beans and chicken, romaine and cheese on it, and we serve that, and it's really enjoyed by everybody. And the lettuce is fresh, and the beans are just plain beans, and cheese is plain, and so that works really well. And we also process things like muffins. Our muffins are all homemade, and we'll just make a ton of them and freeze them, and then they can get used. So I think it's a balancing act is generally what we're finding.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And again, want to do a big thank you to all of our panelists for sharing today. I know there are a couple of questions we didn't get to. Stephanie will follow up with those folks separately and try to disseminate information either directly or put you in touch with folks that can help with some of the questions that were out there. Today, just want to thank everyone for participating as we have looked at the importance of meal quality. We've heard some great examples of high-quality meal programs out there, both school and community-based, rural and urban, and we've heard from some of our partners about online meal quality resources that are available to support your work. Want to ask folks to please complete the webinar survey. We will send out a survey immediately after we finish to let us know how you feel about what just happened, and if you feel like you learned anything, suggestions for improvement. We're always looking for ways to make these events as helpful as possible. A recording of the event will be posted on our website, and you'll receive a link with additional resources in the coming days. Feel free to reach out to us for more information at any time, directly to our Center for Best Practices website, bestpractices@nokidhungry.org, or by email, bestpractices@strength.org. And again, please save the date, Tuesday, May 16th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time for our next installment, where we'll talk about strategies for marketing and outreach to maximize participation in summer meals. All attendees here will receive a link to register for that event. So thanks so much. On behalf of No Kid Hungry Center for Best Practices, I want to thank you for your time, especially for your work to promote and to provide summer meals to kids in the summer months. And we look forward to being in touch. We look forward to our webinar in May. Have a great day.